happen, and we're just helping people, and that's what we're doing.
This is beautiful. This is what we're supposed to do. We do this every Wednesday, and you know, the line just keeps getting bigger.
We started a community response initiative to go and feed our neighborhoods in the area of Koreatown specifically. Every Wednesday we're here providing food to over 250 people. We're getting donations for different folks today from Danny Trejo. Wherever we can get some stuff, we bring it. Okay.
We gotta keep fighting. We gotta listen to the people that have our interests at heart, not their re-election. Remember that. We gotta listen to the people that have our interests at heart.
We will get through this together. We will get through this and somehow come out stronger than we were when we first came in.
Obviously, there's more need. There's over 250 people in line, and more are lining up. I think that we need more food. They can reach us at homiesunidos.org, 213-383-7484.
Hola, hola, bebé.
Thank you, dígale. Muchas gracias.
It just lets me know how important it is to try to create an environment of hope.
I love Gavin Newsom, our governor, and Garcetti. Listen to him, man. Get off the damn beach. You want to get pretty tan like me? Go in the backyard, put some baby oil and play Twister.
This year will mark the 50th anniversary of the LA Pride Parade for the LGBTQ plus community here in Los Angeles. Councilmember Mitch O'Farrell has been working on the event for the past 2 years to make the 50th celebration a memorable one. Now all Angelenos can take part in this event online. Councilmember O'Farrell stopped by our studio to tell Maria Hall Brown how everyone can participate.
Museum exhibits, parades, special events, all of that has been part of the celebration of the LGBT Heritage Month here in Los Angeles. Well, things are going to look a little different this year. I'm sure that doesn't come as any big surprise. However, there's a lot of good news, and here to tell us that good news is from the 13th District, Councilman Mitch O'Farrell. Lovely to have you here.
Thanks, Maria. Good to join you.
This is a big year for the celebration.
Yes, it's the most important year ever of any Pride celebration that we've ever had, because it's the 50-year anniversary of the very first Pride parade anywhere in the United States, and it kicked off at the intersection of McCadden and Hollywood Boulevard in the 13th District on June 28, 1970.
And I would imagine that there was a parade planned.
Oh yes, there was so many things planned. We're going to have some virtual celebrations, including a virtual parade with Christopher Street West and the organizers. So what my team and I want to see is that even though everything has to be done virtually and nothing in person, we want to celebrate as never before. We want to have an event every single day in the month of June. Look for my social media announcements, and it's at Mitch O'Farrell or Mitch O'Farrell, real easy. So the theme this year is Pride and Pandemic, right? Pride to Pandemic, because my team and I were reflecting on this pandemic, and I thought it was really important for everyone to know that LGBT individuals of a certain generation, my own, have already lived through a pandemic. So I think that we can teach people a thing or two about what it's like not to know what you might face in the future. I'm part of a generation that didn't know if we were even going to make it to age 25, much less 30 or beyond. I got to live through it all. The vast majority of people in my generation aren't even here today to tell the story. So that responsibility falls on my shoulders. So I encourage everyone who's interested to share stories of survival through AIDS into the COVID-19 pandemic. There's a link, and there's something that we can share that might just help people.
Nothing like a pandemic
Yes.
to demonstrate how frail we all are as humans and how much we need each other.
Part of the culture of gay pride, LGBT pride, is honoring those who fought for visibility and civil rights and equality. So we have a long history of honoring those who fight. And so we want to honor the pioneers. We want to honor the pioneering spirit, and we want to make sure that it is relevant to today's young LGBT community.
Well, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much. Congratulations on making all these great plans, despite the fact that you wanted a big, loud, joyous parade.
Yeah.
We'll do it next year. How's
We
that
will.
sound?
Sounds good, Maria. Thank you.
All right.
Dodger Stadium becomes the largest COVID-19 testing site in the city. Homeboy Industries and Shared Harvest Foundation team up to fight COVID-19. And Granada Hills Charter High School starts a grab and go. All this in City Beat.
The health of all Angelenos is the city's main concern during the pandemic. And now it's even easier to get tested as a new COVID-19 testing site has opened at Dodger Stadium. City officials say the new site will accommodate 3 times more people than any other site in LA County. And Mayor Garcetti says it is the largest site in the U.S. Sponsors now have the opportunity to be associated with a prestigious LA football club, as Bank of California has announced they are giving up the naming rights to the club's stadium in Exposition Park. LAFC and Bank of California jointly announced the restructuring of their long-term relationship, where the name will be changed, but Bank of California will remain LAFC's primary banking partner. In the continued fight against COVID-19, Homeboy Industries and Shared Harvest Foundation's My COVID MD initiative partnered to provide tests and screenings to local residents. Licensed medical professionals use the rapid pinprick COVID-19 IgM and IgG antibodies test to examine those who attended at the iconic Chinatown location. Granada Hills Charter High School is offering free grab-and-go meals for students, community youth, and children. The breakfast and lunch distributions will be held weekdays from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. For more information, contact cafeteria@ghctk12.com.
Residents in East LA can now come out and support their local growers. The much-awaited East LA Farmers Market is opening, but with social distancing guidelines, so growers and attendees are shopping safely.
East LA Farmers Market has been here in the community for quite a while now. The market was always a very vibrant and dynamic place for people to visit, come to the park, visit the market. During these times, it's been a little tough. You know, our farmers are losing some markets, they're losing some of the business they typically had. And so we were a little concerned about that, but in the last month, the market has actually been doing very well.
It's much cheaper than grocery stores. They're not overpricing you for like a box of strawberries. And it's actually fun too to experience, like interact with other people too.
We feel safer wearing the mask, wearing the gloves, and at least doing our part to stay 6 feet apart from people.
We follow LA County guidelines as well as the agriculture guidelines. We've been practicing social distancing. We've been doing a 1 entry, 1 exit walkway. We've been having hand washing stations. We just want to create a safe atmosphere and to create a healthy environment for people to come out and shop and feel comfortable and safe.
I understand. I mean, I've been pretty much indoors since March, and I know that people can get frustrated, but I think it's a necessary thing to do.
The ability for people to get out and get some fresh air in a safe and healthy environment. We're really proud of what we're doing here, and we hope you can come out and support the farmers market.
Sometimes we take for granted the feeling of putting on a clean shirt. Laundry Truck of LA is helping our community by providing free laundry services to members of Council District 1.
Today we are at Downey Rec Center with our weekly partnership with the LA Laundry Truck, where we provide mobile laundry to our augmented recreation centers being used as homeless shelter sites during this COVID-19 pandemic.
As you can see, the truck back there, we serve this shelter every Thursday, as we do other shelters as well during the week.
Those of us who don't have money or ways to have their things clean, the laundry service shows up and you can get your stuff back the same day. That's pretty big.
We went from 2 days a week to adding 3 days to now being 5 days a week to provide this important public health hygiene service during this COVID-19 pandemic.
SoCal Gas jumped in recently and said that they wanted to get involved and how could they help, so they helped us get a second truck.
The importance of having hygienic services available to people that are unhoused is extremely critical as a way to not only increase their public welfare, but also to reduce the spread of the coronavirus.
I have no complaints. I suggest anyone that is still out there searching, I suggest they consider this place.
The city, the county, everybody's been a huge support and everybody realizes the great need.
The St. John's Well Child and Family Center has opened up a mobile testing site for COVID-19 in CD8, adding a new location for testing in the city of LA.
Yes, what we are doing here today is to test our community members for COVID-19. St. Bridget's Church is the center of this community, and we are always interested in whatever is going on in the community that will benefit the people who live here in South Los Angeles.
We heard about the great work that St. John has been doing throughout this entire time during this crisis, and we really decided that it would be a great partnership to work with them and really be strategic about where we could host these testing sites as a way to provide and bring this service to the folks that really need it.
We have our different clinics everywhere, but we still have these mobiles that we take inside the communities to make sure that all the people that need to be tested get tested.
We are able to test everybody. We only have one exception. We could not touch Kaiser patients. Kaiser Permanente is very proprietary about their own membership. So they've instructed us to refer their patients back to Kaiser Permanente for testing. But we could test anybody else, uninsured and any other type of insurance that people have, we're able to test them.
To be able to provide this service to a community that I care about is a tremendous feeling that I don't take for granted. And again, I'm very grateful for that opportunity, and I just hope folks will take advantage of it and see the value of this service and continue to spread the word.
The Black Hollywood Education and Resource Center answers the needs of unhoused Angelenos by having a blanket drive. The temperatures might be hot outside, but as BHERC shows us, it's never too hot to make a good gesture.
We are here to assist in the efforts of getting blankets for the homeless.
Last weekend we were out, we fed 400 homeless individuals, and many of them asked us for blankets.
Today we are participating in this drive to give out blankets to the homeless next weekend.
And so far the response has been overwhelming.
You're doing a phenomenal job, and I just wanted to do a little bit to help you. I know mine's just a drop in the bucket, but it was just something I wanted to do.
Oh, thank you.
My son is out here visiting for the Memorial Day weekend, and I wanted him to see what giving back was like.
I'm happy to help the homeless out. I've been wanting to do that for a while.
This pandemic is impacting all of us, but it's creating more homelessness, unfortunately.
I know what it's like to be on the receiving side of help, so I want to be able to be a part of a beautiful team that is helping to provide for those in need.
It's important that we remember those who are far too often forgotten.
Thanks so much.
You're very welcome.
Okay, bye.
I'm thanking God for what she's about, and I want to make it known for the community. She's doing a good work.
Our nonprofits right now, the nonprofit system is overstretched. And so I think we as individuals, we've also got to rise to the occasion, help our nonprofits, and just do what we can from where we are.
Oh man,
This is a major hookup. Thank you.
We encourage anybody who would like to help, they can go to our website at bherc.org. One family today donated 200 blankets, and we're up to close to 600 right now.
The way that you show gratitude is by giving of yourself. And so when efforts like this come along where you can donate your time or possibly some goods, you got to take advantage of it, man, because it's the best feeling in the world. You know it's directly affecting somebody else's life, and we all got to just put into that melting pot.
Our phones are pretty much our lifelines, but they do almost everything for us. And now with apps, they do even more. I got the opportunity to sit down with Dr. Tony Greco, the founder of the Get Help app. Check it out. For those Angelenos who are suffering from mental illness and addiction, the COVID-19 crisis has the potential for being especially challenging. But thanks to a relatively new phone application, getting treatment is now a whole lot easier. Our guest today is Dr. Tony Greco. He is a psychologist, and he's also founder of a company called Get Help that developed the app. Tell us why and how this application was designed and what it is designed to do.
As a clinical psychologist, being out in the field trying to find help for people, it's very difficult to locate resources. And the real problem is that there is not a connective communication between all the different service providers that are out there that are trying to provide help to people, whether it's a sober living house or a treatment provider or a homeless shelter. And there's no way for them to communicate their availability in real time to all of the different people on the other end who are looking for those services. What Get Help does is connect these people together and create an ecosystem so that everybody can share their information and find information at the same time.
So how has this helped you in terms of understanding the needs of the community in developing, your app and continuing with the development of your app?
I thought as a psychologist, I thought that, I might be the only one that had problems finding an available bed, and that there were other people who might, know the secret, know the way around. And what we found through the initial pilot with the city of Los Angeles, the number one thing that they were asking for was, they were like, this is great, but what we really need is real-time bed availability. What we really need is to know if that shelter down the street has a bed available so that if we send them there, they're going to be able to get in.
Now tell us how you came up with this idea in the first place. I understand you had driven all the way out to Las Vegas to help a friend. Tell us that story.
Unfortunately, it started a lot longer ago than that. My mom and dad met in an AA meeting, and my mom didn't stay sober. So, I have been saying for a long time, I've been trying to get people into treatment since I was 7 years old. As a result of my parents' mental illness, I myself experienced homelessness at 15 years old, and then got help when I was 17. After graduate school, being a doctor in psychology, you get more phone calls, not less. And so now people were calling me, asking me for help. And a friend of mine that had 27 years sober relapsed and was in Las Vegas. And so I went out there and did an intervention and just thought, if I can just get her back to Los Angeles, that's where I know all my people. That's where I know my way around the system. I've been working in the field for 20 years at this point. And so I got her back to Los Angeles. And by the time we got back to LA, I'd called everyone that I knew. I said, hey, I have someone who relapsed, bipolar disorder, chronic pain, all of these other issues. And by the way, they don't have any money and no resources. So what I had to do as a psychologist was take her down to Mission Community Hospital. It was midnight, and tell the psychologist on duty everything that I knew he needed to hear to not let her leave, right? And I walked out of there, and by then it was 2 o'clock in the morning, and all I thought was, if this is what I'm going through, someone who has over 20 years experience, a doctorate in psychology, I've been in this space my entire life, what does everybody else go through? and I knew that something needed to be done, and so I got to work.
Thank you so much for your time and for everything that you do. Dr. Tony Greco, the founder of Get Help, the app. 2 evenings of Shakespeare. Connect with fellow crafters and rock out with the American Cancer Society. All this next on Virtual Things to Do.
Have a virtual night out on June 5th and 6th, enjoying Shakespeare's Twelfth Night in a modern verse translation by Allison Carey. This virtual performance stars members of Hero Theater, an LA acting ensemble that uses art to model and bring social progress. This is a 2-day online virtual workshop of a play culminating in a final presentation, read live. Did we mention it's completely free? Check out 12th Night, a virtual experience. Visit herotheater.org/12th-night-reading. Join the group Make It Work Crafts for the June Craftist Communal Hour. Share your projects with like-minded creators. Bring your current craft or start a new one. Enjoy a loose conversation structure during this monthly virtual hour. How-to questions and sharing knowledge are encouraged in this inclusive and non-judgmental environment. Who is this group for? Anyone who finds it impossible to make time for crafts. Anyone who wants creative community. Makers of all sorts and levels. The June edition of the Craftist Communal Hour happens Sunday, June 7th. For more information, check out their listing on Eventbrite. It's time to rock out for a great cause. The American Cancer Society brings you Real Men Wear Pink, coming together on June 6th for a virtual DJ dance party. It's an online community campaign and emergency response fundraiser to help ease the unprecedented need caused by COVID-19. Cancer won't stop, neither can we. Don't miss Real Men Wear Pink, Saturday, June 6th. For more details, visit their listing on Eventbrite. And that's a look at some virtual things to do.
That's it for this edition. I'm Saida Pagan. For all of us here at LA This Week, thanks for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. See you next time for more LA This Week.
When you're interacting with others who are not members of your household in both public and private spaces, wear a cloth face covering. Before you put it on, wash your hands or sanitize them. Before you take it off, make sure your hands are clean. And after you take it off, wash your hands again. Wash your cloth face coverings often. Wear a clean one every single day. Learn more at publichealth.lacounty.gov.
Good morning. Welcome to the Los Angeles City Council. Today is Wednesday, June 3rd. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Blumenfield.
Blumenfield present.
Bonin.
Bonin present.
Buscaino.
Present.
Cedillo. Harris Dawson. Weezer absent. Koretz.
Present.
Krikorian.
Here.
Lee.
Present.
Martinez.
Present.
O'Farrell.
Present.
Price.
Present.
Rodriguez. Rue.
Present.
Wesson.
Cedillo present. Cedillo here.
Thank you, council member. Twelve members present and a quorum, Madam President.
Okay, first order of business.
Approval of the minutes of June 2nd, 2020.
Okay, Mr. Bonin moves and Mr. Cedillo seconds.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Lee moves and Ms. Rodriguez seconds.
Madam President, would council like all items to go forthwith today?
Yes, without objection, that will be the order. What's next?
Madam President, there is a request to continue items 15, 16, and 17 to Tuesday, June 9th, 2020.
Okay, without objection, that will be the order. Next.
Items 1 is an item for which public hearing has been held. Items 2 through 10 are items for which public hearings have not been held. Items 11 through 15 are closed session items. Items 11 through 14 were waived from the Budget and Finance Committee. Items 16 and 17 on the continuation agenda are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, without objections, those items are now before us. Members, are there any specials or any amending motions you'd like to introduce? Mr. Bonin.
Yes, Madam President. I'd like to call 8 special just for a couple comments.
Okay, 8 special for Mr. Bonin. Any others? Mr. Buscaino?
Item 3, Madam President.
A special or amending motion?
For an amending motion.
You want to go ahead and introduce that now?
Absolutely. Stand by here and put my notes. Madam President, members, I move that on item 3, I request the city attorney to prepare and present an ordinance to establish an expedited and no-cost citywide permit process for street vendors during the COVID-19 local emergency, to direct the Board of Public Works to refund all vending permit fees that have been collected, and lastly, 3, to rescind council act during its meeting held March 17, 2020, relative to directing various street vending enforcement actions by the Bureau of Street Services, LAPD, and LA County Department of Public Health. Second. Thank you.
We didn't hear that. Who seconded?
Councilman Bonin.
Okay, thank you.
And Councilman Price.
Okay, any others, Mr. Buscaino?
That's it, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Blumenfield?
Yes, item 9, just for some comment. Calling special. Thank you.
Item 9 special for Mr. Blumenfield. Any others, members? Okay, seeing none. Let's go ahead and open up public comment. Madam Clerk, go ahead and read out the calling information for the public.
As indicated on the agenda, members of the public wishing to offer public comment should call 669-254-5252 and use meeting ID number 160-535-8466 and then press the pound sign. Then press pound again when prompted for participant ID. Let me repeat. Call 669-254-5252 and use meeting ID number 160-535-6466 and then press the pound. Then press pound again when prompted for participant ID.
Mr. City Attorney, do you want to go ahead and explain our speaking rules?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. To members of the public calling in, when it is your turn to speak, please state which of the agenda items you would like to speak on. You have 1 minute per item to speak, up to 3 minutes total, and 1 minute for general public comment if you wish. We will tell you when your time is up. When speaking on the agenda items, you must be on topic. Our goal is to get through as many speakers as we can. If you're not speaking on topic, or if we cannot tell whether you're speaking on topic, you will get one brief warning from me or the President. If you do not immediately get clearly on topic or again stray off topic, the President will cut you off and you will forfeit the rest of your speaking time and will move to the next speaker. We will take 45 minutes total of public comment. Finally, for members of the public calling in to speak, as soon as you hear someone address you, you are live in the council meeting. If you're also listening to the council meeting on your computer or channel 35 or other device, please turn down the volume on those devices immediately. There's a time delay between the live meeting and the broadcast on those devices, and it will cause confusion if you continue to listen on your other devices. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and take the first caller.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Bueno.
Hello.
Sí, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Tomás Flores, soy vendedor ambulante del área de Pacoima y estoy hablando sobre el programa.
Señor, un momentito, déjeme darle una traductora que le va a traducir. Nomás necesito que hable un poquito más despacio para poder traducirle, ¿ok?
Ok, gracias.
Ok, comience.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Tomás Flores.
My name is Tomás Flores.
Soy vendedor ambulante del área de Pacoima.
Vendor in Pacoima.
Estoy llamando
I am calling
para expresar
to express
mi preocupación por el programa de Fresco.
I am so worried about the Franco program.
Y pues es injusto, ¿verdad?, que a los restaurantes les den gratis las áreas y a nosotros nos tengan todavía con restricciones.
We have restrictions.
La verdad, pues no, yo tengo 3 meses sin trabajar por respetar el área de lo que está pasando ahorita. No quiero ser carga pública, ¿verdad? Lo único que quiero es que nos den oportunidad de trabajar.
I just want the opportunity to work.
Y pues nosotros ahorita no tenemos para comprar una lonchera.
To work on a truck, on a catering truck.
Y pues está legalmente como quisiéramos, ¿verdad? Pero sí.
We are not legally as we would want to, but
quisiera que nos dieran la oportunidad de seguir vendiendo para no ser carga y poder pagar nuestras rentas civiles. O pues que nos dieran un espacio donde pudiéramos vender, ¿verdad? Y pues les agradecería que pues nos pusieran un poquito de atención y nos dieran la oportunidad de seguir trabajando. No quiero ser carga pública y la verdad me gustaría que nos apoyaran
your support. I would like your support in regards to this.
y gracias por su atención
And thank you
que me
for
atendieron
your
la
attention
llamada.
that you took my call.
Muchas gracias.
Gracias a ustedes.
Okay, adiós.
Thank you.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Hello, am I on?
Yes, what is your name? And what items do you want to speak on?
My name is Alex. I just wanted to make a general comment.
Okay, you have
I'm
1
not
minute.
sure if this is the
Go ahead.
appropriate forum.
Yes, you have 1 minute. Go ahead.
I'm just concerned with the proposed city budget. I became aware of it this past week. I see that funding is proposed to be increased for LAPD for police funding and decreased for a lot of other community programs and resources across the board. I believe, and I know a lot of citizens around me believe, that it's LAPD and police are already overfunded. We want to see those resources diverted to other useful community organizations that people rely on that are more specific: mental health resources, homelessness and crisis resources, people who are trained to deal with things that the police are not. You see the protests in the street. They were outside Mayor Garcetti's house last night, and that's echoed by me and a lot of citizens here. We want to see funding diverted to programs and resources that are going to reduce recidivism rates and deal with the problems that we have in the city in a more humane way and in a way that's actually going to work.
Your time is up.
Meeting them with violence.
Thank you.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Hi, yes, this is Richie Sergenko, and I would like to give public comment.
You have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Hi, city council members, specifically you, Nuri Martinez. I want to let you know that I was arrested on Saturday by LAPD. I was tackled and beat by LAPD because I called them out for undercover officers for throwing things at LAPD. And I was tackled and I was hit by them. And so that's who you're funding. And they know who I am because I call in. And I'm kind of suspicious about all of your connections to LAPD. So who knows really why they targeted me. And then Paul Korian and Nuri, the audacity that you have yesterday to say that people are governing by hashtag and that other people are spreading information, the absolute audacity that you have to talk about the People's Budget LA Coalition like that they're bringing in Angelinos to discuss what's really going on, it's disgusting. And then Nuri, you say something about our movement. Dr. Melina Abdullah is the leader of this movement, and she tore into you for the past 2 weeks. So what movement are you a part of, Nuri? And Nuri, you say people are mean to you on Twitter. Maybe you stop being so awful and do something and step up, and then maybe people will stop being so mean to you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker.
Please state your name and what item you'd like. Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Aló.
Aló. ¿Su nombre, por favor?
Mi nombre es Caridad Vázquez y soy vendedora ambulante.
And I'm a street vendor.
Un momentito, le tenemos una traductora, nomás necesito que hable un poquito despacio para poder traducirle.
Ok, muchas gracias, señorita.
Thank you very much.
Ok, comience.
¿Ya?
Sí, puede comenzar.
¿Aló?
Sí, puede comenzar.
Está bien. Bueno, mi nombre es Caridad
My name is
Vázquez
Caridad Vázquez.
y soy vendedora
And
ambulante.
I
y
am
vivo
a
aquí
street
en Boyle
vendor
Heights.
and I live in Boyle Heights.
Estoy hablando sobre
I
el
am
programa
calling
de
in regards
Ernesto,
to the program, Ernesto,
que todo lo que están haciendo
that
es
everything
una,
that
es
you
una
are doing
injusticia
is
hacia
unjust
nosotros los
to
vendedores,
us, the street vendors,
porque a nosotros sí nos han puesto
because
muchas reglas
they
y a los,
have given us a
y a
lot
los
of rules,
restauranteros
and
no les
to
dan
the
ninguna regla.
restaurants, they don't give any restrictions.
Y mi preocupación, como
And,
acabo de decir
and I'm
ayer,
concerned
tengo
about,
3
like I said yesterday,
meses sin trabajar
we have not been working for 3 months
porque no nos están dejando vender.
because they don't let us sell our things.
por las mismas reglas que nos está poniendo
because of the
en la
rules
ciudad.
that the city has input into us.
Yo nomás les digo que tomen en cuenta también
I'm only
nosotros
telling you that you have to pay attention to us as well.
somos pequeñas
We
empresas,
are small businesses,
pero tenemos que seguir trabajando.
but
Eso
we
es lo que a
have
mí
to
mi
still work,
preocupación que tengo.
and that is my concern.
Por favor, les pedimos
Please,
a todos mis
we ask
compañeros
to
que ya
all
nos den
our
para
companions and
poder
everyone
seguir vendiendo,
that we can keep on selling things,
porque también nosotros tenemos necesidad.
because we are in need of that as
Soy
well.
una persona que tengo 60
I
años
am 60 years old,
y no nadie me da trabajo.
and nobody gives me work.
Y no es justo
And
durante
it's
estos
not
12
fair
años
that I've been working for 12 years. During these
esta
12 years,
campaña
this campaign,
y nos están poniendo los mismos
that are
reglamentos
giving
que
us the same rules
anteriormente
as before,
no nos querían dar.
and they didn't want to give it to us before.
Por favor,
Please,
les pido
I
que
ask
tengan
you
conciencia
respectfully to have consciousness
y preocupación
and be
hacia
aware
nosotros.
and worry about us.
Que nos digan cómo
Please
cómo
let
podemos
us
y
know
también
how we
nosotros
can work.
queremos esas reglas.
We also want to follow the rules.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.
Gracias a usted. Next speaker.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Aló.
Aló, buenos días. ¿Su nombre, por favor?
Bueno, mi nombre es Merced Sánchez y soy vendedora
My
ambulante.
name is Merced Sanchez and I'm a street vendor.
Ok, le tenemos traductora, nomás hable despacio para poder traducirle.
Sí, señorita, muchas
Thank you
gracias.
very much, ma'am.
Comience, por favor.
Gracias. Mire, estamos asando
are
los vendedores ambulantes
We as the street vendors
por una situación
are going
crítica,
through a very critical situation
caótica, debido a la pandemia.
because of the pandemic.
Hemos estado cumpliendo con las
We have
indicaciones de
been
la
complying
ciudad
with all the indications from the city
de mantenernos en casa.
that we have to stay at home.
Pero desgraciadamente
But unfortunately,
la renta no espera,
the rent doesn't
los
wait.
biles no esperan.
The bills don't wait.
Ahora vemos que la ciudad
Now we see that
sacó
the
un
city
programa
has a program
que realmente beneficia
that
solo a los
benefits
restaurantes.
only for the restaurants.
Mi preocupación es
My
qué va a
concern
pasar con
is
el vendedor
what is
ambulante.
going to happen with the street vendors.
Hicimos 10 años de lucha fuerte
We did 10 years of struggle, strong struggle,
para poder aspirar a un permiso y trabajar
to
legalmente.
be able to have a permit and work legally.
Pero nos hemos encontrado con demasiados
But we have found
requisitos
that there are too many rules, too many
que es
requisites
totalmente
that we are-
imposible para
it's
el vendedor
totally
ambulante
impossible for
poder
a street vendor
comprar un carrito
to be
de
able
alrededor
to
de
buy a
$30,000.
truck. It's $30,000.
Y en este momento que estamos pasando por esta
And at
crisis
this moment
es
that we are
totalmente
having this
imposible.
crisis is totally impossible.
Yo ya cumplí
I
con
have complied
sacar mis permisos,
to get all the
pero solo de
permissions,
mercancía.
but only for my
Ya cumplí
merchandise.
con
I
hacer
have
mis
already
clases de salubridad.
given my
Ya tengo el permiso.
health department regulations. I have
Mi-
the permits now.
Thank you, Speaker.
Mi petición es para
My
la señorita
petition
Nuri
is
como
for
presidenta
Ms.
del
Nuri
concilio.
as a president of the
Es
council.
mujer,
You are a woman.
sabe de la lucha
Thank
de
you.
las
You know
mujeres.
our struggle,
Speaker,
our
your,
women's
your,
struggle.
your time is up. We should.
Ya terminó su tiempo.
Gracias, señora.
Gracias, muchas gracias.
Adiós.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Hola, buenos días.
Buenos días, ¿su nombre?
Mi nombre es Antonio Morales y soy vendedor ambulante.
My name is Antonio Morales and I'm a street vendor.
Ok, nomás hable despacio para poder traducirle. Por favor, comience.
Gracias. Yo estoy hablando
I am
porque
calling
yo
because
creo que, bueno, yo estoy
I
preocupado
believe,
sobre
well, my concern is about
el programa de All Fresco
the
para
program
restauranteros.
about whole fresco for restaurants.
Yo pienso que es injusto
And I think that
que
it's
la ciudad
unjust that the city
dé acceso a los restauranteros
give access to restaurants
a la acera gratis
and free sidewalk use.
y nosotros todavía nos tienen muchas restricciones.
And we have so many restrictions.
Yo he tratado de sacar mis permisos
I have tried to get my permits
para trabajar legalmente
so I can work legally,
y no hay forma todavía
and there's no way still.
porque no hay un carrito diseñado para nosotros.
There is no truck catering for us, designed for us.
Se nos permite, pero tenemos que comprar un carrito
They do give us permission, but we have to buy the truck.
o una troca que vale como
That
$30,000
is like $30,000,
que no está a mi alcance.
and it's not on my reach.
A veces ni siquiera vendemos lo
Sometimes
suficiente como para
We
poder
don't
pagar
get
eso.
the sellings of the day, so we cannot pay that.
A nosotros nos gustaría
We would like to
que nos dieran espacio
have some space
para vender en aceras,
so we can sell on the sidewalks,
para poder sacar a nuestras familias adelante.
so we can have our families and support them.
Solamente es eso mi comentario. Muchísimas gracias.
That's my comment. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias. Next speaker.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on. Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on. Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on. Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Hello?
Hola, buenos
Yes,
días.
hi, I'm sorry. Can
Hello?
you hear me?
Yes, what is your name?
Okay. My name is Sadie Morales, and I am speaking with regards to the budget, the current budget that's being proposed. Like many Angelenos who called in and tweeted and marched in opposition, I'm demanding that the mayor completely revise the horrific budget he is proposing. The LAPD is one that is most abusive and corrupt law enforcement, and we've seen that repeatedly over and over and over again. We're in the midst of a global health pandemic. Thousands remain unhoused and millions are at risk of joining those ranks. Black, brown, poor, and institutionalized people are at greater risk of being exposed to and dying from COVID-19. And these are the same people that are being disproportionately impacted by LAPD violence. I believe that the people have spoken and they want the city to invest in universal needs like quality, housing for all, universal access to healthy food, financial and economic support, climate justice, free and quality public transit, public health, mental health support, and education. They want the city to divest from traditional policing. I demand that Mayor Garcetti and the City Council members draft a people's budget that emphasizes care, not costs.
Thank you.
And which funds the police.
Thank
I
you.
want to make clear that your
time
failure
is
to
up.
listen to
Speaker,
your
your time is
constituents
up.
does not mean that we will give up. We will
Speaker,
continue
your
to make
time
our
is
voices
up.
known, both online and through in-person protests.
Thank you.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Speaker, what is your name?
¿Cuál es su nombre?
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Yeah?
Hello, please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on. Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on. Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
José Rodríguez, I want.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
My name is José Rodríguez.
Por favor, comience nomás, hable despacio para que le podamos traducir.
Sí, mi nombre es José Rodríguez y yo estoy hablando acerca del programa Fresco. Yo soy vendedor del área de Fresno y Arroyo.
I'm a street seller in Arroyo.
Y mi comentario es que no me parece que sea justo que a los restaurantes le estén dando el derecho con el permiso de Fresco y a nosotros nos estén desplazando cuando nosotros tenemos 10 años también peleando porque nos ayuden.
We have been trying to get help from you.
Nosotros también necesitamos trabajo, queremos trabajar y no queremos hacer ninguna carga pública.
We don't want to be a public charge.
Y espero que ojalá nos entiendan y no nos den, empecemos a trabajar y no nos den infracciones, nos tiren nuestras cosas, nomás nos dejen trabajar y nosotros dejamos nuestras áreas limpias, recogidas y no hacemos daño a nadie.
And we are not injuring anyone.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Hi, my name is Adam Polarski, and I would like to speak regarding the budget.
Okay, you're going to speak under general public comment. You have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Yes, so I would like to just plead the City Council to adopt a people's budget, as the protesters have called and demanded. 54% of the budget to be allocated to the LAPD at this time is unacceptable. You claim this is for the safety of the people of LA, and yet the Los Angeles Times has repeatedly reported that these protesters are the ones that are being disproportionately arrested and impacted by police brutality, not the looters. More arrests and far less looting across LA amid huge peaceful protests. That's just from today. If you care about your constituents, if you care about the people of this city, you will listen to their demands and you will adopt a people's budget that places their health and care and safety over that of the LAPD. Thank you. I yield my time.
Thank you.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Mi nombre es Manuel Hernández Osorio.
Ok, un momentito. Nomás hable un poquito despacio para poder traducirle.
Oh, Manuel Hernández Osorio.
My name is Osorio.
Continúe.
Proceed.
Mi artículo es el 20-0470.
Por favor, continúe.
Buenos días. Mi nombre es Manuel Osorio. Tengo 21 años de vivir en Los Ángeles, Sur Centro. Soy una persona con diabetes, hipertensión. Y nunca pensé que se pudieran oponer a la entrega de comidas, medicinas. Necesitamos la entrega de Ubers para medicinas, alimentos. Exijo no voten en contra de la emoción del límite de tasa. Esto perjudica a muchas personas como yo, que recibimos medicina en casa y comida. Exijo no voten en contra de la emoción de tasa. Esto perjudica a todas las familias. Necesitamos de su apoyo. Exijo no voten en contra de la emoción de tasa. Gracias. gusto.
Okay, muchas gracias.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on. Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Speaker, are you there?
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on. Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on. Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on. Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Odessa Niklich. I would like to speak on budget.
Okay, that's general public comment. Go ahead. You have 1 minute.
I just would like to reassess the budgets for the police force and everything that's going on in that, and maybe redirect it towards education, please.
You can continue.
Oh, that's really all I have to say. I don't know how this works. It's my first time calling in.
No, this is your time. You can go ahead and continue.
Oh, I guess that's all I have to say right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker. Next speaker.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Hi, my name is Charlie Phoenix, and I don't have a specific item that I would like to speak to, but I would like to talk about the current budget proposal.
You have 1 minute. Go ahead.
The current budget proposal for the fiscal year of 2020-21 is grossly misallocated. The current monies proposed for the LAPD are outrageous in comparison to public works and community works programs. I ask that you please consider redistributing the budget. We're already in a police state with an overtly militarized police officers who actively profile, pursue, attack, and kill people of color in our city. Black Lives Matter. Communities of color matter. The Los Angeles Police Department is long overdue for defunding. Please rethink your priorities and take into consideration the needs of the people in Los Angeles, not the wants of your paychecks, political affiliations, or agreements made behind closed doors that are not in our best interest. Again, Black Lives Matter, and the more funding to obviously corrupt, racist, violent police force is not the answer. So please redistribute the budget and give money to the communities, not those who actively rip the community apart. I give back any extra time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Bonnert, and I'd like to make a public comment.
You have 1 minute. Go ahead.
I'll be brief. My thoughts on the proposed budget have been echoed by many other callers. As a city of the city, I say with my whole heart that every person in that room should be ashamed of yourself. Yesterday, while the police commission was rightfully getting reamed by the public, you approved the mayor's budget and continue to cower to the authority of the corrupt LAPD. And as you witnessed yesterday at the mayor's house, the people will be heard by public servants such as yourself, and you will be held accountable when you do not serve the needs of the people. The people of Los Angeles deserve better and will demand better. Shame on you. I yield my time.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Just can you turn off your other device because we can get feedback.
I'll turn that off.
Thank you.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes. What is your name? What items do you want to speak on?
Sylvester and public comment.
You have 1 minute. Go ahead.
the question I want to ask the board is what we're going through right now, is this about money and power, or is this about people? When you look outside, this system is not working the way that it is set up right now. Hear all the time about, police, talking about why they do the things they do. I need to protect myself. I need to make sure I get back home. If you want to make sure that you get back home, you want to protect yourself, what you need to do is put more resources into the community. That's how you have a safer community. You don't get a safer community. You don't have more people coming back home when you're putting money in criminalizing people. That money should be redistributed, and we need to call a special meeting to talk about reallocating those assets in the budget. So affordable housing, public health, family support services, community oversight committees. When we're talking about abuse of force with these officers, retraining these officers in multicultural psychology so they understand the people living in the communities that they work in. And I support Build Power, the Black Lives Matter, LA chapter, the Love We Don't See organizations that are fighting for this. So I'm calling for a special.
Thank you, sir.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Artículo 3, 200617.
Un momentito, su nombre, por favor, y por favor hable despacio para poder traducirle.
Ok, mi nombre es Ana Chávez.
My name is Ana Chávez.
Soy vendedora ambulante del área de Hollywood.
Street vendor in Hollywood.
Estoy llamando para expresar mi preocupación con el programa Al Fresco.
My concerns about the Fresco program.
Es injusto que la ciudad le dé acceso a las aceras a los restaurantes gratis y a nosotros todavía nos tienen muchas restricciones. Mi preocupación desde que empezó la pandemia no salimos a trabajar. Es nuestra fuente de trabajo. De ahí pagamos nuestra renta, comida, y ahorita mi preocupación es porque no he pagado y no quiero ir a la calle con mis hijos. Nos están desplazando de nuestras comunidades. Nosotros queremos hacer nuestro trabajo legalmente. No podemos comprar carritos legales. No existen. No podemos pagar comisarías. Deberían de reservar espacios específicos para vendedores en las aceras, los parkings u otros espacios públicos. Si los restaurantes pueden usar la acera, entonces explíqueme cuál es la preocupación de seguridad y salud.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Thank you, Speaker.
El número primero, el número de teléfono, el 669.
I already pressed the phone.
Ok, muchas gracias.
Es que primero te di un número de teléfono, pues marca este número.
Okay, please dial this number, and when they answer to you, press the pound key, and then it's going to give you another clue, but we don't have it, so press the pound again, and if you stay there,
Thank you,
we can
Speaker.
listen to the
Gracias, ya se le terminó el tiempo. Muchas gracias.
De todos modos, yo ahorita voy para el centro.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Downtown.
Hello, my name is Shannon Finley. I'd like to make two comments. The first on item number 3. I would like to echo everything the street vendors that have been calling in have been saying. If restaurants are welcome to be open, there's no reason that we can't have street vendors going back to work using some of that sidewalk space and giving them an opportunity to work and earn money. Secondly, I'd like to talk about the budget. And as a tax-paying resident of the city of Los Angeles, I'm concerned about what appears to be an over-allocation of taxpayer funds to the LAPD. I'd like to see less tax dollars funding the LAPD and more money allocated to citywide social programs and resources, including assisting at-risk youth, people transitioning out of homelessness, women leaving dangerous situations, healthcare, all of the minority communities who are at risk and need help. I also understand that many city workers have been furloughed for the rest of the year while police officers are getting a raise, which is unacceptable. Thank you.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Mi nombre es Yolanda Granados.
My name is Yolanda Granados.
Ok, por favor, hable despacio para poder traducirle. Por favor, comience.
Please start.
Okay. Estoy preocupada por el programa que van a poner al fresco. Es injusto que la ciudad dé acceso a las aceras, a los restaurantes y gratis. Y a nosotros no nos ha dado ninguna oportunidad. A nosotros nos exigen mucho. ¿Cómo es justo de que a ellos sí les están dando permiso? Eso es discriminación con nosotros, los vendedores ambulantes. Para mí es discriminación. A ellos sí les están dando permiso sin cobrarles nada. Ellos van a tener todo el acceso. Ellos van a poder vender hasta cerveza allá afuera, cosa que a nosotros nos criminalizaría. Y es justo. Les pido que nos ayuden, que a nosotros nos ayuden porque nosotros tenemos ya 10 años en esta lucha. Tenemos 10 años en esta lucha y aún no nos pueden dar un espacio. O sea, las aceras ya los habíamos ganado. Y ahora los restaurantes ya se los van a dar a ellos así de fácil. Esa es mi protesta. Y a ellos sí todo fácil y a nosotros nos quieren cobrar 291. Sí, es cierto, ahorita nos van a ayudar por este año, pero al que viene ya tenemos que pagar otra vez. Entonces nosotros que nos ayuden a un acceso más económico para los carritos de venta.
Thank you, Speaker. Your time's up.
Gracias.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on. Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on. Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Yeah, my name is Ana Cruz. I am a street vendor and I would like to talk about item number 3.
I would like to talk about.
Okay, go ahead. Can you just speak a little louder? We can barely hear you.
Yeah, my name is Ana Cruz. I would like to talk about item number 3.
Okay, you have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Mi nombre es Ana Cruz, soy una vendedora ambulante del área de Hollywood. Estoy llamando para expresar mi preocupación con el programa Al Fresco. Es injusto que la ciudad le dé acceso a las aceras gratis y a nosotros todavía nos quieran imponer.
Señora, un momentito. Por favor,
desde que empezó la pandemia no he podido trabajar y como madre de 2 hijos también me preocupa su bienestar. El momento no he podido pagar la renta, debo 3 meses de renta. Me preocupa no poder trabajar por no contar con los permisos requeridos por su alto costo. Pero en este momento no estamos siendo incluidos en este programa, estamos siendo desplazados de nuestras comunidades. Nosotros queremos hacer nuestro trabajo legalmente, pero no podemos comprar carritos legales que todavía no existen. Deberían
because they don't
reservar
exist.
espacios específicos
Please
para
reserve
vendedores ambulantes
specific
en las
spaces
aceras.
for
Si
the
los restaurantes
vendors on
pueden
the
usar la
streets.
acera,
If the
entonces
restaurants can use it,
explíqueme cuál
then
es la
explain to me
preocupación de
what is the
seguridad y
concern,
salud
the
que no nos
security
deja a
and the
nosotros
health.
poder vender.
We are
Es
not
discriminación.
available to work. That's
Hemos
discrimination.
estado pidiendo un
We have
distrito
been working
especial de
for a
venta para
special
el área de
district for
Hollywood para
the
respetar
selling
las
of
leyes,
Hollywood
pero
so we
hasta el
can
momento
respect
no
the
nos han
laws,
dado la
the
oportunidad de
bylaws,
trabajar
and we haven't
legalmente en
given us
esa
the
área.
opportunity to work legally in this area.
Thank you, Speaker.
Gracias, señorita oradora.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on. Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
¿Sí? Bueno,
Sí.
You have 1 minute, Speaker.
Tiene un minuto.
¿sí?
Yes. Proceda. Proceed.
Mi nombre es María Núñez.
My name is María Núñez.
Hablo por el artículo
And I'm calling
200617
regards to the
sobre los
article
vendedores
7,
ambulantes.
about the street vendors.
Hablo también porque
I
pues
would like to
mi
talk
preocupación
also
por lo que
about
está,
my
¿verdad? Por
concern about
que les
this,
van a
all
dar
this that
permiso a
is
los
going on, that
restaurantes
you are
sacar
giving
sus mesas
permission to the
a vender la
restaurants
comida.
to sell
Y
food,
uno también anda
and we
trabajando
are really
legalmente
concerned because
y
we are
pues no
working
nos dejan
legally,
vender y
and
pues
you don't
ahorita
let
con
us
lo de
sell.
COVID, lo que está
With the
pasando, pues
COVID
es la preocupación
and
de uno
everything,
enfocar
we
pues
are
en
very
trabajar.
concerned about our jobs.
Entonces, ¿por qué hay más prioridad para
So
ellos si
we
uno
ask
también
you,
anda
why
trabajando
are you giving these
legalmente? No anda
benefits to
uno
people?
haciendo,
We are not working illegally.
pues sí, trabajos ilegales.
We are not doing illegal work.
Entonces, ahorita
So
lo que
please,
queremos es pues que pues nos ayuden
we
también a
want
que
you to
nosotros
help
podamos
us so we
trabajar,
can work as well.
pues como siempre lo hemos hecho y
As we
tenemos
have
ya
always done
más
it,
de 10 años
and
luchando
we
con
have
eso
been
y pues
struggling with this for
ahorita
10
ya
years
salieron
now,
con esto de que
and
van a
now
darle
you
permiso a
are
los
saying that
de
you
los
are going to
restaurantes.
give permission to restaurants.
Y pues ahorita no hemos trabajado
And
desde que
right
empezó lo
now
del
we have
COVID
no jobs
y pues
because
no
of
nos
the
dejan
COVID,
trabajar.
and they don't let us work now.
Thank you, Speaker.
Muchas gracias.
Y-
Muchas gracias,
Ok,
oradora.
gracias.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on. Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on. Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, I wanted to talk about the proposition on the Postmate.
Sure, you have 1 minute. Please
Because
proceed.
it's useful for me because they bring me food because I'm not able to walk out to get my food.
Do you want to say anything else, Speaker?
Yeah, because by you guys taking out those places, those Uber rides and Postmates and stuff, for us, our disabled persons or seniors who are not able to go out, especially right now with the coronavirus going on and so. That's my main point, my concerns on it.
Thank you, Speaker.
Okay, thanks.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on. Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on. Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on. Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on. Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
I'm Jacob, and I'd like to speak on the budget.
Great, so that's general public comment. You have 1 minute. Please proceed, Speaker.
I would just like to say that over the past couple days, I think we've all seen the public's response to the proposed budget by the mayor. And I think it's clear that it's a gross misallocation of funds, and I don't believe that putting half the budget towards LAPD is going to do anybody any good. It'll just weaponize them further to harm our citizens. And I would just like to ask, as city council members, your job is to serve the people, so I implore you to listen to our demands and fund like social services and community work that will actually help make a better city, not just more militarized police. So I ask you, please serve your constituents, serve your citizens, and do your job. Thank you. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Speaker.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Hi, my name is Courtney Davison, and I'd like to make a general public comment.
Great, you have 1 minute. Please go ahead.
So I just also wanted to echo what a lot of other callers have been saying. I wanted to say that I'm very disappointed with the budget, which I believe City Council, I believe you actually signed it in yesterday with very little fanfare. In fact, I think many people still aren't even sure or aware that it actually was signed, so I'd appreciate some clarification on that front. Regardless, even if you have officially passed this draconian budget that Garcetti put forth, which allocates 54% of funds to law enforcement, you still have time to make adjustments to it, and I beg you to reduce funding for law enforcement and increase funding for essential services, including transportation, housing, and non-police crisis intervention and counseling. So I really implore you, you've heard what your constituents think, we're watching, and we beg you to do the right thing and make adjustments to this budget, which does not reflect the needs of the people of this city. I yield the rest of my time. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Hi, this is Harrison. I'm calling to make a general public comment.
Great, you have 1 minute. Please go ahead.
I am calling upon the council to allow street vendors to operate immediately, as well as look to refund all street vendor permit fees that have been collected up to this point. It is extremely unfair to burden our street vendors while offering all of these benefits for free to restaurants. Additionally, I would like to express disgust with the council in waiting until after the city clerk has signed the mayor's budget to begin talking about revising it. You all had the chance for the past weeks to address this budget and failed to do so until pressured by protesters in the street following the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis. At this point, if the council does not make adjustments to the budget, you are all complicit in any murder that comes out of LAPD from this point forward. A representative from Minneapolis has already stated that they are looking into ways to completely defund their police department and replace it with a community service department instead, and I urge LA to do the same.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Speaker, are you there? I don't.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Sí, buenos días. Mi artículo es 20-0470.
70.
Y mi nombre es María Villanueva.
My name is María Villanueva.
Tengo más de 20 años en el sur de Los Ángeles.
In South Los Angeles for more than 20 years.
No pensé que la ciudad de Los Ángeles se pondría en contra de entrega de alimentos y medicina.
Against the delivery of medicine and food.
¿Cómo pueden hacer daño a nuestra comunidad?
How can you hurt our community?
Le exijo que vote en contra de la moción de límite de tasa.
To vote no to the tasa motion.
Eso perjudicaría a mis familias mayor de edad, ya que ellos reciben su comida y medicina.
My elderly, because they receive medicine and food in their house.
En la puerta de su casa, ellos no pueden salir en estos momentos debido al COVID-19. Eso sería frustrante para ellos. Les exijo que voten en contra de la moción de límite de tasa.
motion.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you.
Gracias. Muchas gracias.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Por favor, de su nombre y sobre qué artículo desea usted hablar.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
De su nombre y diga sobre qué artículo desea usted hablar.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead. Which items
Hi,
would you like to speak on?
Roberto Choa, and I'm actually commenting on item number 3 and just a general comment on the city budget.
Okay, so you'll get 1 minute for item 3 and 1 minute for general public comment. Please go ahead.
Okay. So for item 3, I just want to say I stand with the street vendors. Street vendors are disproportionately impacted due to COVID-19, income, housing, and healthcare access, and they should very well be included and placed in high priority for reopening plans. So that's item 3. For the city budget, so I'm probably echoing what a lot of people have already stated, but it is worth repeating. The LA City residents do not want additional funds going to the LAPD. The LAPD union justified the increase based on previous negotiations, and that sort of rationale is asinine. We are in unprecedented times, suffering through a pandemic, and under unprecedented times, the previous priorities and previous deals need to be reassessed. Having said that, those deals made beforehand should never have been made. Outside of the pandemic, we are in a housing crisis. And outside of the housing crisis, we are in a climate crisis. And on top of that, over the past few days, things have resurfaced, and what many people of color in the city have known for decades, that the LAPD is still requiring drastic reforms to perform its top duties to protect and serve. I'm not speaking to you as simply a citizen of the city, but as one of the millions of bosses that you and the LAPD report to. Defund the LAPD and reassess our priorities to better protect our community from the health, housing, and climate crisis that we are undergoing. And also to Councilmember Harris Dawson and Busaino,
thank you,
please protect
Speaker.
the MLK Junior Community Hospital. We can't have more public facilities closing in underserved communities.
Very good. Thank you, Speaker.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on. Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on. Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Thank you.
Bueno.
Hello.
Sí, bueno.
Bueno, ¿cuál es su nombre y por favor puede hablar despacio para que le podamos traducir?
Please stop.
Ok, es que yo estoy llamando.
I am calling. Give your name.
Sí, por favor continúe.
Continue. Proceed.
Sí, estoy llamando.
Yes, I'm calling.
Por lo de la encuesta.
Because
Ay, disculpe, casi no se escucha, estoy en el bus.
I'm sorry, I cannot hear. I'm on the bus.
Por favor, continúe.
Please proceed.
Ajá, sí, estoy hablando sobre la encuesta.
Calling in regards
para
to
que,
the
para
to
que
the
no
study.
quiten las personas que llevan los delivery, que llevan la comida a las casas.
We don't want you to take away Postmates because it's very important for some people to receive everything in their home until we get a job. That's very important.
Una manera más fácil de.
And it's easier? It was easier?
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
My name is Kirsten Ellis. I'd like the city council to amend the budget
Okay,
for
so
the people.
you've got 1 minute, please. Go ahead.
I'd like the city to adopt the budget, but amend taking out defunding police. That's the end of my comment.
Thank you, Speaker.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
20-6
0470.
Okay, you have 1 minute. Please go ahead.
Okay, hi, my name is Brian Hernandez, and I have lived South LA for 15 years now, and I beg you guys to please vote against the rate cap motion. The reason is that I count on this app like Postmates, Uber Eats, and Grubhub to bring me and my family food and medicine. Also, many other people count on this app, especially elderly people. And you taking away this app from us is like taking away our health privilege. So once again, please vote against the rate cap motion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Mi nombre es Merlin Alvarado.
My name is Melida Alvarado.
Y quiero hablar sobre el artículo número 3.
Ok, nomás le pido que por favor hable despacio para que le podamos traducir.
Ok.
Por favor, comience.
Soy una vendedora ambulante del Paseo de las Estrellas de Hollywood. Y quiero hablar sobre el programa Al Fresco.
I would like to talk about the program Al Fresco.
La ciudad de Los Ángeles nos ha restringido el Paseo de las Estrellas a los vendedores ambulantes con el nuevo permiso. Y a los dueños de los restaurantes les va a dar permiso para que saquen, para que usen las banquetas del Paseo de las Estrellas. Nosotros tenemos una lucha de 10 años por estas banquetas y siempre nos las han restringido. Por la seguridad pública. Y es injusto que a los dueños de restaurantes les van a dar las banquetas sin pagar un permiso y a nosotros nos las han restringido por mucho tiempo. Solo les quiero pedir que echen en cuenta a los vendedores ambulantes en este programa también. Eso era todo. Muchísimas gracias.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Por favor, de su nombre y diga sobre qué artículo desea usted hablar.
Please go ahead, speaker.
Hello?
Speaker, yes?
Okay. Yeah. My name is Eliani Melendez, and I would like to give a public comment concerning the budget.
Sure, great. You have 1 minute.
Hi. So my name is Eliani Melendez, and I want to just express my disgust and to hear that there's $3 billion more going to the police when you have people here talking about the difficulty in obtaining food during this COVID crisis. Why could we not divert these funds into our small businesses, our schools, our health services, and transportation, and even rent control? That's all I wanted to say.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on. Please state your name. Yes, please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Hi, good morning. My name, I wanted to speak on regards to article number 3. My name is Christina. Last name is Ruggles.
Please go ahead. You have 1 minute.
Thank you, sir. As I said, my name is Christina Ruggles, and I am a vendor in Hollywood. I am very concerned regarding the Al Fresco program. It is very upsetting, to say the least, for the city to support restaurants, for them to have access to sell on the sidewalk. And not only are they free to sell it, but they're encouraged to. And however, street vendors are restricted, and the city has made it pretty much impossible for them to sell on the sidewalk. As you know, and due to the stay-at-home order, I have not been working since March. I have rent accumulated, bills to pay, and just everyday expenses. This causes great weight and anxiety because of it. Without the inclusion of vendors, it is something that is not helping us at all. We need to be included in the alfresco program somehow. We want to work with a cart that is approved, but there is no cart to be bought at this time. And also the expenses looking at commissary is incredibly high. I believe that there should be spaces assigned for vendors.
Thank you, Speaker.
Or any public.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on. Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Speaker, are you there?
Yes, hello.
Hi, what item would you like to speak on?
The item that I need to talk is about 20-0470.
Okay, you have 1 minute. Please go ahead.
Hello?
Yes. Please turn down the volume on your other devices. I think it's causing confusion. But please go ahead and speak to your item. You have a minute.
Hello?
Hi, Speaker.
Oh, yes. The item is 20-0470. My name is Nelson, and I'm calling to urge the council to vote no on the rate cap for drivers. As you know, with everything going on right now with the pandemic and the riots, it's really important for us citizens to be ordered. I mean, they have the opportunity to order food or medicine. In my case, I've been doing that. I haven't been able to go out as before. So for me, it's really important living in South Los Angeles, the importance of having these services to so I can, order food, medicine, and items essential for me, order groceries with everything going on. So that's the reason why I'm calling. It's really important for the community of South Los Angeles to have that opportunity to have those services. And by voting no, they're going to be helping not only, the drivers, but also the South LA community having all these services at hand. Okay?
Yes. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time, sir. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Hello, my name is Nick Hanley, and I would like to make a general comment about the budget.
Sure, please. You have a minute. Go ahead.
Hi. So as you know, the budget is currently weighted in favor of the LAPD, and a lot of people have been commenting about this. I would just like to point out that currently we ask the LAPD to handle a lot of social services that they are not particularly well trained to do. And I think it's ridiculous that we're giving them such a huge windfall after what we've seen in the last few days with them kind of abusing their citizens routinely. And frankly, a lot of that money would be better put into funding social services, social programs, and paying full salaries to social workers who are better equipped and better trained to deal with the issues we are currently forcing the LAPD to deal with. I live in Los Feliz. Mitch O'Farrell routinely has the police department come clear out homeless camps over in Echo Park, and that is something that would be much better served under a department led by social workers who understand how to deal with those kinds of communities in a thoughtful and encouraging way. So please pass people's budget and do not support Mayor Garcetti's budget proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker.
Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Cristina Renteria, and I'm calling from the item 20-0470.
Sure, you have a minute. Please go ahead.
As a resident of South Los Angeles, I live in zip code 944. I do not want to see our communities lose any restaurants. Is the council aware that much we have in South LA? We have a food desert. We don't have too many options. So, and also with this emergency, it's not time to be experimenting with essentials like food and medicine. I'm an elder person and I need deliveries for my medicine. I'm diabetic, and using Postmates and other applications make me the life more easy, especially right now with the pandemic and the riot. Please, I suggested to the city council, say no to cap rate. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you, Speaker.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Members, that concludes public comment for today's meeting. I need to request a 15-minute break before we come back and continue to vote on some issues. Okay, thank you.
I can't tell who's here. I can't tell who's here. Oh. No. Yeah, no, it doesn't look like anyone's here. She's calling them.
Are we broadcasting?
Okay, members, we're back. I apologize for the long delay. There's been a lot of disruption to the building, so we had to make sure people that you can hear us, and we were having technical difficulties with some of the demonstrations happening outside, but everything seems to be okay now. Let's go ahead and take the roll, Madam Clerk.
Blumenfield.
Blumenfield present.
Bonin.
Bonin present.
Buscaino.
Here.
Cedillo.
Yes, Lord. You come all that come. You know, come. I got it. Empty.
Harris Dawson.
Here. Cedillo here.
Thank you. Koretz.
Koretz, aye.
Krikorian.
Here.
Lee.
Present.
Martinez.
Present.
O'Farrell.
Present.
Price. Rodriguez. Rue.
Present.
Wesson.
Wesson here.
13 members present and a quorum, Madam President.
Okay, Madam President, Madam Clerk, let's go ahead and vote on some items. Can you indicate what items are ready to be voted on?
Yes, Madam President. Those are item 1, 2, 4 through 7, and 10.
Okay, let's prepare to vote on those items. Go ahead and call the roll.
Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
Bonin.
Bonin, aye.
Buscaino.
Buscaino, aye.
Cedillo.
Cedillo, aye.
Harris Dawson.
Yes.
Koretz.
Yes.
Krikorian.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Martinez.
Here.
O'Farrell.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Rodriguez.
Ms. Rodriguez, I think you're muted.
It's the city curfew today.
Rue.
Aye.
Wesson.
Wesson, aye.
14 ayes, these items are adopted.
Okay, what's next, Madam Clerk?
Next are items 11 through 14, and those are the closed session items.
Mr. Krikorian, would you like to speak to these items? Items 11 through 14.
Madam President, Budget and Finance waived all of those matters. There is one judgment, and the others are settlements that appear to me to be routine, but the committee did not take those items up to consider them. So we can proceed as members wish.
All right, thank you, Mr. Krikorian. Madam Clerk?
Madam President, I will read the settlement amounts. Item number 11, in the case entitled Chelsea Small versus City of Los Angeles, there is a recommendation to expend up to $175,000 in settlement. Item 12, in the case entitled Curtis Wynn versus City of Los Angeles, there is a recommendation to expend up to $125,000 in settlement. Item 13, in the case entitled Todd Hawkins et al. Versus City of Los Angeles, there is a recommendation to expend up to $263,673.01 in settlement. And finally, item 14, in the case entitled Shaniska Elui versus City of Los Angeles, there is a recommendation to expend up to $250,000 in settlement. And Madam President, I can call the roll on those items.
Prepare to vote on those items 11 through 14. Go ahead and call the roll.
Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
Bonin.
Bonin, aye.
Buscaino.
Buscaino, aye.
Cedillo.
Cedillo, aye.
Harris Dawson.
Yes.
Koretz.
Yes.
Krikorian.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
O'Farrell.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Rue.
Yes.
Wesson.
Wesson, aye.
14 ayes, these items are adopted.
Okay, let's go ahead.
Next is item 8, and that is called special by Councilmember Bonin.
Mr. Bonin, item number 8.
Thanks, Madam President. Earlier on the agenda, and actually later on the agenda as well, we have a number of items about providing support to our small businesses in the form of restaurants, giving them easier access for outdoor dining and using the public right away. Number 8 is similar, except it applies to another element of small business in Los Angeles, which is the fitness industry. When gyms and Pilates centers and yoga studios and any sort of fitness enterprise is allowed to reopen at whatever the next phase is, they are going to be facing a whole new reality, and it is going to be incredibly difficult for them to continue in business with social distancing. It is going to be very difficult for patrons as well, people who are seeking to stay fit and to stay healthy, which is something we're encouraging people to do. In terms of the small business impact, it's also particularly impactful for not just the small business owners who own the gyms, but it is impactful for the independent contractors, most of the people who do training in gyms, most of the people who conduct yoga classes, most of the people who are personal trainers are all independent contractors. And so what this motion seeks to do is to make it easier for them to use park space in a way that does not conflict with other park programming, and potentially use other available city properties in order to conduct classes, allowing some stuff to be inside and some stuff to be outside. Currently, people can do some of this with recreation in parks, and there are some boot camps and stuff like that in some of our parks, but it's a complicated process where you have to apply separately to every different park, different fee structure. And so what we're asking for here is for ITA and Rec and Parks to centralize that, simplify it, do it at a reduced cost way. And while I don't put it explicitly in the motion, I certainly ask the departments when they do so to think about how to make that new portal one that is accessible and understandable in all languages and not just in English. So I think this is an important thing we can do to help another segment of small business in Los Angeles. And I ask for my vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bonin. Madam Clerk, go ahead and call the roll on item number 8.
Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
Bonin.
Bonin, aye.
Buscaino.
Aye.
Cedillo.
Aye.
Harris Dawson.
Yes.
Koretz.
Koretz, aye.
Krikorian.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
O'Farrell.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Rue.
Aye.
Wesson.
Wesson, aye.
14 ayes, this item is adopted.
Okay, Madam Clerk, let's move on to item number 9. This was called special by Mr. Blumenfield.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Item number 9 is a 245 request, and I just wanted to flag it because it is literally the poster child of the reason why having a 245 powers for planning is so important. Because in this example, we have a project that is opposed by everyone in the community. I have not had a single bit of support for it. But when it was being put forward at the Planning Commission, its jurisdiction was about to expire. And there were a number of things where the jurisdiction was about to expire, but the COVID case was causing them to not have this hearing. Most of the other projects along the plan that were going to be heard voluntarily agreed to extend their date. This project, the developer said, no, we're just going to let it automatically get approved without going through that public process. So the public was denied the ability to speak out on this, and especially a project like this that has so much opposition. And so it's incumbent upon us as a council to say, you know, the authority that this commission has is borrowed authority, and we ultimately are there to protect our constituents' rights and to make sure that they are heard. And that's why I'm asking for this 245, so that we can have the hearing that they were denied because of COVID. So I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, let's go ahead and prepare to vote on item number 9.
Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
Bonin.
Bonin, aye.
Buscaino.
Aye.
Cedillo. Harris Dawson.
Yes.
Koretz.
Aye.
Krikorian.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
O'Farrell.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Rue.
Yes.
Wesson.
Wesson, aye.
14 ayes, this item is adopted.
Okay, Madam Clerk, let's move on to item number 3 that was amended by Mr. Buscaino. I'd like to refer the amending motion back to the Public Works Committee and Economic Development Committees without objection. Mr. Bonin?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I understand that the city attorney believes that the amendment was beyond the scope, and I actually agree. What I'd like to ask, though, is a way to keep the concept moving forward is if we can ask as part of this motion something very simple, which is just to make sure that the departments explicitly list sidewalk vending as eligible for this program. That means so that when and if we consider the other motion and do those other things, the process will be ready and they won't have to start from scratch to do it.
Okay, Mr. Buscaino, would you be okay with that friendly addition to your amendment? Very well. Okay, that will be referred to both committees. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Buscaino?
Yeah, I would just respectfully ask that both committee chairs consider waiving this item because of the urgency on getting our small businesses, including street vendors, back on their feet. As you know, street vending we've been working tirelessly over the last 6 years to create a regulated legal process for street vending, and once the city began issuing permits January 1st of this year, that's when the program was getting up and running. Then COVID-19 hit, and the amending motion before you today, members request that the city attorney draft an ordinance to establish an expedited no-cost permit. Also directs Public Works to refund all vending permits, and also rescinds the actions taken by this council on March 17, 2020. These are small, meaningful actions that the council can take to help support vendors without delay. And we were proud in San Pedro just last week to show how it ought to be done throughout the city of Los Angeles by allowing public spaces to be used to increase the square footage of restaurants that have taken, and retail that have taken a significant hit in light of COVID-19. Thank you, Madam President.
For this?
Thank you, Mr. Buscaino. Mr. Blumenfield?
Yeah, I just wanted to note, I appreciate Mr. Buscaino raising this, but the Public Works Committee is going to hear the Streets LA report that was heard by the Board of Public Works yesterday. In that report, they had some very similar recommendations, and the committee is meeting on June 12th. So this is on a fast track. It is already scheduled and has been scheduled for committee. And I'd say it's not just about process. You know, there are things that we can do here if we vet. This is a big policy change. And there are things we can do, for example, with the CARES money to cover the permit fees as an economic development tool. So we want to waive, figuring out ways to waive the fees in a way that would be smart, that doesn't create a larger budget hole for the city. And so there are ways that we can achieve the objective in a smart way. And so I'm glad that it's going to committee and that we are on the fast track on committee, and Mr. Buscaino is on that committee to hear it on June 12th.
Mr. Blumenfield, anything that has to do with the CARE money needs to be referred to the ad hoc committee and introduce it as a separate motion so we can consider it.
Understood, but as a committee, when we vet this, we can make recommendations and it would go through our process. But the point is that a change like this coming through committee, especially after there has been a Streets LA report that was heard by the Board of Public Works, it makes sense to go to committee and have it fully vetted.
Yes. So I just remind everybody that I think we're referring all of this to the committee. That's to economic development and public works and gang reduction. So.
Yes, that was referred without objection. Mr. Koretz?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I don't think I want to object to this particular item, but I think in general, we should start looking at the fact that when you combine our reopening of a number of entities in the city of Los Angeles with the massive protests that we had of thousands of people not social distancing, the majority without masks, that we can anticipate a very substantial bump in the incidence of COVID-19. And anticipating that bump, we may want to slow down a bit in opening one thing after another without taking a little bit of time to see how we're impacted and see if we should be slowing down the process. I wouldn't target this particular group, probably the financially most in need to be the ones where we say, no, let's stop. But I think we should be thinking about that in the back of our minds, because I would anticipate, unless we have a medical surprise, a substantial bump from the tens of thousands of people that have been right next to each other for extended periods of time without any protection, as if the COVID crisis had disappeared. And it clearly wasn't the number one front and center issue, but I think we really can anticipate a spike. We also can anticipate a spike among our police officers, many of whom in the chaos were not wearing masks. And even if they were, being close to hundreds of people at a time are also in danger.
Okay.
So just wanted to
Thank you,
flag
Mr.
that
Koretz.
as we move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you, Madam President. I've got my question answered. Thank you.
Okay, Madam Clerk, what's next?
There are verbal motions that should be read into the record.
The first verbal motion is a Rule 16 introduced by Councilmember Blumenfield. It is regarding departmental fund transfers to the Bureau of Engineering to ensure the continued benefits of the city's GIS software and maintenance support services. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember Rodriguez. The second verbal motion has been referred to the Rules, Elections, Intergovernmental Relations Committee and has been introduced by Councilmember David Rue. It is to include support in the city's 1920 state legislative program for the preservation of funding in the governor's budget for the Cal Kids program and the Child Savings Account grant program. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember Rodriguez. That is all.
Mr. Koretz, did you have a verbal motion to introduce?
I do, and it is on the subject of the murder of George Floyd and the fact that Derek Chauvin's actions caused his death clearly, and that the other officers standing in inaction as Mr. Floyd pleaded for his life and did nothing, should be charged and speedily prosecuted. Now, there has just been breaking news that the Attorney General in Minnesota has charged the three of them. So much of the language is somewhat moot, but I think we should introduce it anyway to put the city's intentions on record. And so if you would allow me, I would like to read the resolution in its entirety. Whereas the cold-blooded murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis, Minnesota on May 25th, 2020 by Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin has outraged the nation and has created a national outpouring of anguish, anger, and introspection on issues of race and policing, among many other issues. And whereas Officer Chauvin was charged with third-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter for holding his knee on Mr. Floyd's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, while Mr. Floyd said repeatedly, "I can't breathe," until he died. And whereas the other three police officers present, Thomas Lang, J.A. Kung, and Tu Tao, did not move from their positions as Officer Chauvin placed his knee on Mr. Floyd's neck, and as Mr. Floyd pleaded for his life repeatedly, well within their earshot. And whereas these three officers have been fired, but not yet arrested or charged, and whereas official and independent autopsies conducted over the last week have indicated that Mr. Floyd's death should be classified as a homicide, and the independent autopsy strongly suggested that the actions of Dr. Kung and Lang directly contributed to the circumstances of Floyd's death. And whereas on June 1st, Minneapolis Police Chief Madaria Arradondo told CNN he fired all four officers because he believed that the participation of Kung and Lane and the non-intervention of Tao constituted complicity in Chauvin's criminal action, and that the three unarrested and uncharged former officers deserve to be treated similarly to Chauvin. And whereas the fact that no arrests have yet been made or charges filed against officers Kung, Lane, and Tao has substantially contributed to the ongoing protests and civil unrest taking place in Los Angeles and all over the United States. Now therefore be it resolved, with the concurrence of the mayor, that by the adoption of this resolution, the city of Los Angeles condemns the murder in the strongest possible terms of George Floyd and urges Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison to promptly incarcerate, indict, and speedily prosecute Koenig, Lane, and Tao based on what is already known about their roles in the murder of George Floyd, with the worst kind of complicity, and complete a thorough investigation leading to appropriate criminal charges at the earliest opportunity.
Second.
Second.
And this is to be co-presented by Marquise Harris Dawson, Herb Wesson, Nuri Martinez, and Kern Price, and have asked for a second in advance.
Second.
Joe Buscaino and David Rue, although I suspect every council member would be in support and would second if not for the Brown Act.
Very well. Thank you, Mr. Koretz. Do you have any other verbal motions to introduce?
Not I, no.
All right, thank you. Members, any other verbal motions? Madam Clerk?
For the record, Madam President, there are motions for posting a referral. Motions will be posted on the clerk's website shortly after the meeting for the public's viewing. The desk is clear.
Okay, thank you. Members, are there any announcements? Any adjourning motions? Our meeting is adjourned. Thank you.